Assalamu alaikum dear students. Today we are going to discuss literature and biography. Biography, a form of literature commonly considered non-fictional, the subject of which is the life of an individual. One of the oldest forms of literary expression, it seeks to recreate in words the life of a human being as understood from the historical or personal perspective of the author by drawing upon all available evidence, including that retained in memory as well as written, oral, pictorial material. A biography is simply an account or detailed description about the life of a person. It entails basic facts such as childhood, education, career, relationships, family, and death. Biography is a literary genre that portrays the experiences of all these events occurring in the life of a person, mostly in a chronological order. Unlike a resume or profile, a biography provides a life story of a subject, highlighting different aspects of his of her life. A person who writes biographies is called a biography. So dear students, a biography is very linked with literature, so we'll discuss other aspects here too about the link of literature and biography. So first of all, we'll discuss about the aspects of biography. So here are four aspects of a biography. So number one is historical, number second is psychological, number third is ethical, and number fourth and last is aesthetic biography. So first of all, we'll discuss historical biography. Obviously historical biography is mentioned in name that it deals with the history. So biography is sometimes regarded as a branch of history, and earlier biographical writings such as the 15th century memoirs of French Counselor of State Philip de Comines or George Cavendish, 16th century life of Thomas Cardinal Wolsey, have often been treated as historical material rather than as literary works in their own right. Some entries in ancient Chinese chronicles included biographical sketches embedded in Roman historian Tacitus' Annals is the most famous biography of the Emperor Tiberius. Conversely, Sir Winston Churchill, magnificent life of his ancestor John Churchill, first Duke of Marlborough, can be read as a history written from a special point of view of Britain and much of Europe during the War of the Spanish Succession. So it is about 1701 to 1714. So yet there is general recognition today that history and biography are quite distinct forms of literature. So history usually deals in generalizations about a period of time, for example the Renaissance, about a group of people in time, the English colonies in North America, about an institution, monasticism during the Middle Ages. Biography more typically focuses upon a single human being and deals in the particulars of that person's life. So biography is basically dealing with the aspects of a person. It can be historical, it can be ethical, it can be about the knowledge, and there are many different aspects are also there. But as in this point, historical biography, we are discussing that how it is being linked with the literature. So both biography and history, however, are often concerned with the past, and it is in the hunting down, evaluating and selection of sources that they are akin. In this sense, biography can be regarded as a craft rather than an art. So techniques of research and general rules for testing evidence can be learned by anyone, and thus need involve comparatively little of that personal commitment associated with art. So it is being linked with art. So art is also is the aspect of literature. So a biographer in pursuit of an individual long dead is usually hampered by a lack of sources. It is often impossible to check or verify what written evidence there is. There are no witnesses to cross-examine. No method has yet been developed by which to overcome such problems. Each life, however, presents its own opportunities as well as specific difficulties to the biographer. Biographer, the ingenuity with which the biographer handles gaps in the record by providing information, for example, about the age that casts light upon the subject, has much to do with the quality of the resulting work. So it is all about the historical biography. So the biographer writing the life of a person recently dead is often faced with the opposite problem: an abundance of living witnesses and a plethora of materials which include the subject's paper and letters, sometime transcriptions of telephone conversation and conferences, as well as the record of interviews granted to the biographer by the subject's friends and associates. So basically this is all about the biographer and biography and the history. So the second aspect is psychological biography. So assembling a string of facts in chronological order does not constitute the life of a person. It only gives an outline of events. The biographer therefore seeks to elect from his materials the motives for his subject's actions and to discover the shape of his personality. The biographer who has known his subject in life enjoys the advantage of his own direct impressions, often fortified by what the subject has himself revealed in conversations and his having lived in the same era, thus avoiding the pitfalls in depicting distinct centuries. But on debit side, such a biographer's view is colored by the emotional factor almost inevitably present in a living association. So biographers of the 20th century have had at their disposal the psychological theories and practice of Sigmund Freud and his followers and rivals. The extent of which these new biographical tools for the unlocking of personality have been employed and the results of their use have varied greatly. On the one hand, some biographers have developed upon their pages the apparatus of psychological revelation, analysis of behavior symbols, interpretation based on the Oedipus complex, deduction of Jungian patterns of behavior, and the like. Other biographers, usually the author of scholarly large-scale lives, have continued to ignore the psychological method, while still others, thus avoiding explicit psychological analysis and terminology, have nonetheless presented aspect of their subject behaviors in such a way as to suggest psychological interpretations. So now we'll discuss about the ethical biography. The biographer, particularly the biographer of a contemporary, is often confronted with an ethical problem: how much of the truth, as he has been able to ascertain it, should be printed. Since the inception of biographical criticism in the later 18th century, this somewhat arid because unanswerable question has dominated both literary and popular discussions of biographical literature. Upon the publication of the life of Samuel Johnson, James Boswell was bitterly accused of slandering his celebrated subject. So more than a century and a half later, Lord Morgan's Winston Churchill, The Struggle for Survival, 1940 to 1965 and 1966, in which Lord Morgan used the Boswellian techniques of reproducing conversations from his immediate notes and jotting, was attacked in much the same terms. Through the question was complicated by Lord Morgan's confidential position as Churchill. In the United States, William Manchester's death of a president 1967 on John F. Kennedy created an even greater stir in the popular press. There are the issue is usually presented as the public right to know, but for the biographer, it is a problem of his obligation to preserve historical truth as measured against the personal anguish he may inflict on others in doing so. So, no standard of biographical morality has ever been agreed upon. Boswell, Lord Moran, and Manchester have all, for example, had eloquent defenders. The individual biographer must steer his own course. That course in the 20th century is sometimes complicated by the refusal of the custodians of the papers of important persons, particularly national political figures, to provide access to all the documents. So now we'll discuss aesthetic biography. Aesthetic biography, while related to history in its search for facts and its responsibility to truth, is truly a branch of literature because it seeks to elicit from facts, by selection and design, the illusion of a life actually being lived within the bounds of given data. The biographer seeks to transform plain information into illumination. If he invents or suppresses material in order to create an effect, he fails truth. If he is content to recount facts, he fails art. This tension between the requirements of authenticity and the necessity for an imaginative ordering of materials to achieve lifelikeness is perhaps best exemplified in the biographical problem of time. So, on the other hand, biographer seeks to portray the unfolding of a life with all its cross currents of interest, changing emotional states, events, yet in order to avoid reproducing the confusion and the clutter of actual daily existence, he must interrupt the flow of diurnal time and the group his material so as to reveal traits of personality, grand themes of experience, and the actions and attitude leading to moments of high decision. His achievements as a biographical artist will be measured in great part by his ability to suggest the sweep of chronology and yet to highlight the major patterns of behavior that give a life its shape and meaning. So now we'll discuss about some examples how biography is being discussed in literature. So first of all, we'll discuss some example. Number one, A Shakespeare, A Life by Park Honan. So this biography is the most accurate, up-to-date and complete narrative ever written about the life of William Shakespeare. Park Honan has used rich and fresh information about Shakespeare in order to change the perceptions of readers for the playwright and his role as a poet and actor. This book completely differs from the biographies that imagine different roles for him, commenting on his sexual relationships and colorful intrigues, through detailed psychological theories and imaginative reforms about the famous playwright could be amusing. In fact, they damage the credibility of the sources. Therefore, many attempts have been made to know about Shakespeare, but this one is a unique example. So, number second example is here, Arthur Miller. Attention Must Be Paid by James Campbell. So, this biography is written in the form of a drama, presented in just 2 acts. In the first act, the author shows the famous dramatist Arthur Miller in his early success, having the love of the most beloved woman in the world and resisting tyranny. However, in the second act of this biography, the author shows that the hero was badly assaulted and ridiculed by a rowdy mob called critics, who are expelled from the conventional theatre. He ends his book with his rhetorical details related to revitalization in the fortunes of the playwright. So example number 3 is here, The Life of Samuel Johnson by James Boswell. So this biography is frequently hailed as a perfect example of modern biography and all-time best example in the English language. The masterpiece of James Boswell has covered the whole life of the ubiquitous literary writer Samuel Johnson. With the whom Boswell was well acquainted. The unique quality of this book is that shows Johnson as a walking intellectual amongst us. So example number 4 is here. The Bronte Myth by Lucas Mill. Emily Ann and Charlotte Bronte were very famous and eminent writers in the history of English literature. Many rumors and gossips were associated with them when they reached the peaks of their careers and received great approval for writing the most admired novels of the 19th century. In their biography, Lucas Miller chunks the myths related to these young enigmatic women. This is the fine example of a biography. So last example is why this world, a biography of Clarice Lispector by Benjamin Moser. After pursuing his own private manuscripts and writings, the modernist writer Benjamin Moser has explored the mystique surrounding Brazilian writer. This is one of the Moser's biographies which comes to a little closer to finding here her true nuances. All those readers who are going to read her myriad of works for the first time would find this biography interesting and her life as beautiful and tragic yet rewarding. So dear student, that's all. Inshallah, see you soon. Thank you. Allah Hafiz.